Okay, Kateline, we haven't recorded in a while because I was out of town. I'm excited to see you. Hi, how you doing?
Hi. Hello.
Big news, Kateline. Big news. Now, you promised you didn't check the Insta. I asked you repeatedly. Do not check it. Did you look?
No, I haven't opened it.
Ooh, okay. Okay, good. Because let it be known that Thursday, August 8th of 2024, was the day that I'm Lester Holt made first contact with AC herself.
I'm very happy for you, Kurt.
Happy for us, Kate. Happy for us.
I know, but she's your girl.
She liked a comment I made, okay? And that's what I mean by first contact, but that's all it takes, is that one first like. That means she knows we exist. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a victory, because here's the deal. We are on our 50th episode today, but it's been over a year, and never has Dateline or AC or anybody from Dateline ever liked a post or acknowledged us at all, which is fine. We got to earn it.
Sure was damp today.
Okay, so this all starts because Dateline was profiled by The Hollywood Reporter, and they got this great shot of KM, J-Bank, and AC looking dope AF on a rooftop. But who's missing from that picture, Dateline?
That'd be Murph Dog.
No, Murph Dog in sight. Now, we have fun with Murph Dog.
How did you like Murph Dog blaming Lady Gaga for this murder?
Thank you. I mean, he was firing all Murph Dog cylinders.
So there's a part of us, the snarky side, that would say, well, duh. But I was kind of bumming. Lest we forget, he is the host of the highest rated Dateline ever. Mm-hmm. So, he is a top dog in some regards.
It's Murph's show. He should be in that photo.
Somebody was like, maybe J-Mank should feature Murph Dog on his next episode of Missing in America, because where is Dennis Murphy? That's good, right?
Cute.
So everybody's getting in on it, and I'm in all caps down there. I'm screaming, exactly! Where is Murph Dog? And that's what AC liked. So AC's on board with us and Murph Dog. And me communicating via all capitals. Then Dateline gets in on it. They message us personally.
Personally?
Dateline NBC, their Instagram, responded to us privately.
Oh.
In response to my all caps query of where the hell is Murph Dog. And I'm going to read it for you now.
I don't know what to think. I'm wondering who runs the Dateline Insta account.
Look, it's probably some 22-year-old intern or something. But I'm going to read you this interaction I had with them.
Got it.
That's why I'm excited about the AC thing, because that's Andrea Canning, who's at one of her kids' shows somewhere right now, according to the Insta. She's liking those comments. That's why I'm this stoked, because that's really AC.
Good, honey.
Okay, so Dateline says, this was about podcasts. He doesn't have one. I said, oh, good call. These three all have separate pods. They host themselves. Murph Dog only guests. So you are totes correct here. Now, you'll notice that I did say that they were right, but I also said why they were right. And I did that because I was not going to tolerate them saying those facts. I needed them to know that I know that Keith Morrison has his mysteries, J-Mank has his Missing in America, and that AC has the weekly true crime wrap-up.
You did not want some kid explaining Dateline to you.
Exactly. So I over-answered and was annoying about it. So then my follow-up to that is, what this really shows is that Murph Dog needs his own podcast pronto, and he should promote it by appearing on our podcast. Comma, boom. What do you think?
That's a boom.
Definitely a boom.
Boom.
No response to that, but Dateline does say, BT Dubs, who are you? Because we know you're not Lester Holt, ... Huh? What do you make of that?
We got to tell them who we are.
I responded. Oh, because also in between this, I had taken a screenshot of Insta telling me that AC liked the post. Then I posted that screenshot to our Insta and tagged AC as well. So the end of this might be that Dateline and AC think I'm a real loony bin cuckoo bananas.
Probably.
But that's okay. So I said, crying, laughing, twice. That was 2 emojis. No, we're not, but we are the second most popular fan-made Dateline podcast in the game. Okay, now I said second most because Date with Dateline. But also, I'm being fun because, as far as I know, we are the only 2 podcasts.
Right. In the game.
Yeah, so we are second best. Okay, so that's fun. But I continue. But if you or Lester don't like the name, we will change it ASAP. Parentheses. I'm Kurt Money, the guy typing, but my co-host is Kateline. Send. What you thinking?
I mean, they're probably going to be like, okay, this Yahoo, just block him.
Yeah, someone read it an hour ago and didn't reply or like it or nothing. Mm-hmm. Maybe I flew too close to the sun, and maybe I tagged the sun too many times when the sun said what up to me. But I will not take back any of my actions I did here today because AC knows we exist. Dateline knows we exist, and it only took 50 episodes to get there. How about that? Huh? I said we kick it off.
Let's do it.
I'm Lester Holt.
Oh, what's happening over there?
I'm just gotta calm down. I've been so excited about this.
Oh, I thought you were like dry heaving.
No.
See, I'm hopefully somewhat helpful when it comes to calming you down because I don't get all excited.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I am excited, but I'm like, that's cool.
Well, howdy, Holtheads. I'm Kurt Money, and here's my co-host.
Cateline.
We are here with the 50th episode of ILH, and we kicked it off with some recognition from the brass, but that's okay. We can't revel in that. We are here to discuss
Dark Intentions,
which aired June 7th of 2024 and will be our last episode that we're covering from season 32. You guys might say there's one after this.
The Breakup.
But Cateline, why aren't we covering that one real quick?
It was featured on Dateline the last day.
On that last day of
We agreed that we weren't going to cover Dateline the last day. Mm-hmm. Just in principle.
You're right. And I'm glad that we have that rule and we're sticking to it because I think this is a pretty banger episode to go out on. Mm-hmm. What did you think of this Dateline? I see you nodding your head.
This is, I think, the scariest one yet, for me, personally.
Yeah.
Out of all the episodes we've covered, this is absolutely terrifying. I loved it. I hated it.
Yeah, I agree with you. You told me that before I watched it, and I was like, boy, what could this mean? And then I get into it, and I'm like, well, I know exactly why she was afraid. This is terrifying. Mm-hmm. 2 women are murdered in an Arlington apartment complex within a year. Police investigate, but reach a dead end. 3 years later, forensic evidence from rapes links a killer, leading to an arrest. That's a decent sum up, right?
Decent. They don't say how terrifying it was.
No, they don't. And that is really the takeaway from here. So, yeah, I say we dive on in. This baby was hosted by AC.
Here's Andrea Canning with Dark Intentions.
How'd you think AC did today? Were you pro AC?
I could tell that she felt the same way that I did.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Many times she was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so f***ing scary.
Some great reactions.
That area.
Oh my gosh, that's so scary to think that easily could have happened.
So
oh
he
my
knew
gosh.
my name.
Oh my gosh, Adrian.
That is so scary.
I immediately.
Oh my gosh, Tasha, how do you even? I have no words.
So this story starts September 17th of 1996 in Arlington, Texas. Hip Vu gets a call from his sister's boyfriend, and he is hysterical because he's trying to get into his apartment, and when he finally does, he finds his girlfriend, Christine Vu, dead, bound, duct-taped, face down in the bathtub. This is the kickoff to the story of the bathtub killer. And notice I did not say bathtub serial killer, because he failed at that as well. So Hip Vu gets this call.
The man on the other end was his sister Christine's boyfriend, Tang Ku.
So Tang Ku had gotten home about 5 p.m. and he tries to go into his door, but it's locked. The deadbolt is on. That means that someone from the inside has locked this. Mm-hmm. He tells the cops his story, and his story is pretty bonks.
You would not think that this is real, that he's telling the truth.
Yeah,
but he is.
Exactly. That is a great point. He goes to his car to smoke a cigarette, comes back home, still deadbolted from the inside. Nobody say anything. He doesn't even hear the dog bark. They have a dog, no word from the dog. So then he goes to his car, gets a quarter, goes to the public telephone.
According to Tang, he walked to the pool area and called Christine on the apartment payphone, but she didn't pick up.
So that's when he goes back to his house for the third time, puts the key in, door opens, deadbolt is now undone. Mm-hmm. So now he's allowed entry. So that means that someone left in the time in between his smoke breaks and quarter getting.
Wild.
That meant the suspect was inside the apartment, killing her while he was sitting there smoking a cigarette.
Now, the cops are suspicious right off the bat. Were you suspicious, Cateline? Tell me what your thoughts are on Tang Ku right now.
I guess I was suspicious, but he hung around and answered questions and was very visibly upset.
Yeah.
It just seems unbelievable that there's like just a tiny little window of a few minutes where he was outside that door and the killer was right inside, and the guy managed to escape without anybody else seeing.
The only thing people remember is the boyfriend. So this is when we're introduced to Detective Tommy Lenore, and he says, yeah, nobody in the complex saw anybody leave. Like, the only thing people remember is that this boyfriend was yelling and screaming. And even the way he's retelling that.
The only thing anyone actually heard was when Tang Ku came out.
yelling and screaming.
In here, I'm going, you MFer. You think it's that guy right now. Mm-hmm. So, I'm coming for the detective today. I'm coming for him hard, Kateline. I hope you're ready for it.
Where are you going with this?
He's sitting on a throne of compliments from, 15 years of a victory lap of telling the story. So this ain't gonna hurt him one bit, but I'm coming to poke some holes.
Okay. Well, first off, who did you think this detective looked like?
Ooh. Who?
I was getting an L. Ron Hubbard vibe.
Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely, especially the state of his nose. That was like purple.
Yeah, he had a purple nose. He had purple lips.
Yeah, you're dead right. And that's I noticed that too. I didn't connect that to Elron, but you are 100%. They bring Tangku back to headquarters. Of course, they want the usual stuff from him. They want to talk to him. They want DNA and they want fingerprints. All of which Tangku gives up willingly and says, all right, now ask me anything you want to know.
Yeah.
Right?
He lives there. So he knows his fingerprints and DNA are going to be all over the crime scene. So giving it to the police isn't going to make a difference either way. So he's like, yeah, whatever.
We know how these conversations go. It's the cops ask the same questions over and over again in hopes of a slip up so that they can drill it down later. And they get what they wanted from Tangku because according to them, his story changes.
They started to notice minor variations in Tangku's account of the murder.
They never say one example of how his story changed. Not one. What do you think that says, Kateline?
I think it was to throw us off the scent, to make it seem like he was always a viable suspect. But really, I think they knew right away he wasn't.
They get his DNA, and of course they ask him, hey, you mind if we strap you up to a lie detector? And old Tangku, who they think is guilty as sin, says, hook me up. Give me this test.
How did he do?
He failed 2 major questions.
And it's like, yeah, no shit, he failed. He just saw his girlfriend dead in the bathtub. He can't be taking any kind of test that monitors, like, his stress levels. Anyone would fail. Also, why are they still doing them?
Kate, look, I agree with you 1,000%, and that is the thesis of what I'm about to say to you right now about this lie detector test, because he failed 2 questions, and here are the 2 questions.
Did you injure Christine, and did you place duct tape on her?
Those are big questions.
Those are huge
to fail.
questions.
What was his response?
Of course, his reaction is, but I'm telling the truth. The cops and everybody watching, no way. He clearly lied.
But without solid evidence, they had to let him go.
Tang is still at the forefront.
At this point, I want to remind you and the audience, we just heard about how Tangku could not stop chain-smoking cigarettes outside. So we know that he's stressed and he's a heavy smoker. He comes inside the department, has to be questioned. He's given at least 10 minutes of easy lob questions on this lie detector. I bet this guy's starting to want a cigarette. Mm-hmm. And that's when those 2 questions come up about his dead girlfriend. That's why he failed that, and that's why they shouldn't, I know they're not admissible, they need to burn them all. People who went to school to be a polygrapher, sorry, get out of here. Sorry.
If they're not admissible, I don't know why they even bother doing them. If it's just to rattle suspects as like a technique, fine. But yeah, if you're in school to be a polygraph, what would it be called?
I said polygrapher, but that kind of sounds too much like you got a lot of wives.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it is.
All the industries are failing and going away.
Yeah.
The polygraph industry is next.
It needs to go, because I'll tell you why cops love it. They don't give a shit that it's not admissible. It's the one thing that they can say ad nauseum when people go, why'd you think he did it? Oh, well, we failed the polygraph. You know who doesn't fail polygraph tests? Innocent people. And then they hang their hat on that one statement for 20 years. Now, luckily, that doesn't happen in this case. But I feel like you can agree that happens a hell of a lot.
It does. But Detective Lenore, he is more of a pro than that.
Yeah, so Lenore takes a look at what CSI comes up with from the crime scene, and they have got a latent print, a dope-ass print on that deadbolt. They're stoked. Mm-hmm. Like, boom, we can cross off Tang, yes or no. If it is Tang, it makes sense, but if it's not Tang, it's almost positive that's the killer.
Because it's fresh.
Yeah.
And we know that the deadbolt was locked.
Yeah, and unlocked when they arrived.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that kind of supports the Tang. If you really want to stick it on Tang, it's sounding good right now.
He is still one of the primary suspects.
Oh, another thing on this print is the finger has a scar. Now, this is not our only scar of the night.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And the next one we talk about is all-star material. Okay? It's so funny because this stuff came up last week. All right, so yeah, it's September 17th, 1996, when Christine Vu gets murdered. And it's horrific how she's found in the tub. Now, only 3 months pass, and there's another murder that is identical. Woman found face down in water in the tub. But not only is it identical to Christine Vu's murder.
This happened in the same apartment complex.
Yeah.
Now you have mass panic.
This was Wendy Prescott, and she wasn't a next-door neighbor, but she lived in an apartment just like 100 yards away.
This is when Lenore puts it together that the two cases are related.
I came to the reality that this crime is a continuance of 3 months ago.
But this is where I begin to point out why he bugs me. It's time for two sides to every sentence. Because good old Lenore, he's been telling this story for a while now. And damn it if he's not going to get his script out the way he tells it every other time. Because he's repeating things that AC says verbatim, but just a little different.
Mm-hmm. You know, we love that.
Oh my God, just poor AC.
I mean, we hate that.
Absolutely.
Does that send a chill down your spine?
It sends a chill down your spine, but it is a gut-wrench fear.
This is kind of related to my biggest defense that old Tommy Lenore does. But right now, two sides to every sentence. Not cool, dude. But he does that. We also got to mention that Wendy Prescott's murder happens on Christmas Eve, okay?
I am at home putting a Barbie house together, playing Santa Claus, and I get the call.
We talked to her sister, Skyla Taylor. One of many times my heart broke for the people in this episode. Skyla was wearing purple and she had the cool gray hair. Remember her?
Yep.
She was Wendy Prescott's sister. Now, they give us a little background. Wendy and Skyla's mom had been murdered walking home from work when they were kids. It's still not solved, by the way, to this day. Mm-hmm. So they've got that hanging over them. Then the Christine Vu murder happens in the pear tree where Wendy lives. And Skyla's talking about how we can't wait till she can get out of there because they were going to move in together.
Yeah, she was planning to move. Christine's murder prompted it.
Yeah.
And Skyla would call her all the time, every night, to make sure she was home safe.
Oh, yeah.
And this still happened.
Yeah. Yeah. This episode being scary and sucking a lot. I'm not prepared to say that this killer is good at anything. He's fucking lucky, dog. He's so lucky. Don't you think? This guy lucks out like crazy?
It is luck because it's not like they were in a rural community where there wasn't a neighbor 10 feet away.
Yeah.
It's a suburb of Arlington, Texas. It's a college town. There's people everywhere.
Yeah.
And he keeps getting away with it.
Okay, so now Pear Tree Apartments, they've got 2 dead girls within 3 months. Pear Tree loses tenants real bad right now, right?
Yes, they were talking about moving trucks, filling the parking lot. Everyone's getting out, especially all the single women.
I would do that. If I was a young woman living here,
Oh, I would do that
I
too.
would get the heck out of here.
Ooh, Kateline, I'm just going to bust this one out right now. I can tell you that they now call it Harmony Apartments. And I can also tell you that they changed it immediately after because I went on a little Reddit dive when I found out the name of this apartment complex because I was like, this sucks, bro. And not only that, they show the unit numbers for both of these murders, 816, 1126. Okay?
Those are probably going to stay vacant, I think.
On the Talking Dateline, J. Mink and AC are talking about how the fans wanted to know if it's legal. Like, if you move into an apartment with a murder, do they have to tell you? What do you think the answer is?
Well, if there's a death legally, don't they have to tell you?
In Texas, for apartments, they do not.
It's just if you're purchasing a house?
I guess. I didn't actually double check that. Future Kurt, is that true? Do they have to say so if they're buying a house? Future Kurt here. You don't have to disclose a death in a house in Texas. If the person died from COVID, natural causes, an accident that was not caused by the condition of the house. The ones you do have to disclose are if someone is murdered in the house or if the house's condition contributed to the death, even if said condition has been remedied. That's like the wording in there. And now this is where my mind is blown. I mean, look, Future Kurt does not watch realtor reality TV shows or ghost hunter TV shows, okay? So maybe this is well-trodden territory. And as a matter of fact, there's a great Nathan for you where Nathan Fielder discovers that the realtor he's working with believes in ghosts and has like all this ghost shit. So maybe this comes up in that. But I am here to tell you that in Texas, if you believe the house to be haunted, you gotta disclose it, okay? If the buyer asks you, is this house haunted? Or has a demon ever killed anyone in this house? And if you know for a fact that has happened, you must disclose it. A seller does not have to disclose a death up front, but if they are asked about any deaths or ghosts, it says ghosts, I'm not kidding, on the property, the seller must disclose it or he will be misrepresenting information. I mean, I'm going to watch that Nathan for you, is what I'm going to do after I clean up current Kurt's mess. So let's just go ahead and say, if it's a murder or death by demon, you best be disclosing, or else there's going to be trouble. Back to you, current Kurt. Get it? That means that 2 people, who knows when they found out, but by now they've been told 1,000%. The tenants of 816 and 1126 were watching Dateline on June 7th of this year. Got the surprise of their life, right?
Yeah.
She lived in apartment 1126.
They were like, that's why I saw Andrea Canning outside my door a few months ago.
Harmony is a weird name to change it to.
Yeah.
It's not a very harmonious place.
And I was on the Reddit, and people who live there said they would change it all the time anyway. They say not because of the murders, but because people kept finding rats in their place.
Yikes. This place sucked.
Yes, do not move into Harmony Apartments in Arlington, Texas.
Didn't they find a really, really perfect, pristine dust print in Wendy's apartment?
You're damn right.
But it was so pristine and so defined.
Everybody from AC to the CSI guy is just so grateful this thing didn't get nudged. And I'm with them.
Yeah, it is a miracle that it was left perfectly protected.
They show a picture. Was it in sawdust?
It was in dust.
The kind of dust that would blow away if you turn towards it too quickly. It's wild.
Totally.
But they preserved this print. And Lenore is quick to point out I was guarding that baby.
You better believe it.
So now's when Lenore is like, all right, let's look at everybody who lives here or who's associated with it. And he spends a little bit of time telling AC just how tough it was and how we had to gather all these names, and it was like 500.
There were a lot. It was almost overwhelming.
Yeah, it was absolutely overwhelming.
But again, he loved to just steamroll AC to say, okay, but a license plate doesn't mean one suspect. That could be many suspects.
I'm assuming every man that lived in the apartment complex.
Yeah.
Detective Lenore and AC surmised about just how difficult this task was.
You went around the apartment complex.
We
and
had
just
all the
started-
license plates.
And just started writing them down.
Yes, we had.
And then you got to look into everyone.
Just a license plate in itself can identify many suspects.
And AC said it was like finding a needle in a complex.
It's like finding a needle in a complex.
Yeah. Now, what does Lenore say to that? Because guess what? This is where lines are drawn, and I'm coming for Lenore. It's because of this statement right here.
It's like finding a needle in a complex.
That's a pretty good cliche.
Hey, sorry, detective, you dumb shit. That's not a cliche. That's a spin on a cliche. She doesn't say needle in a haystack. She says needle in a complex. That's wordplay. Kateline, are you with me?
Yes, but they both get points off for that.
No, I'm giving her a point. You don't like that? Come on. It assumes that we already know what she wants to say. She's putting a spin on it. This dope is too slow to keep up.
But
right?
A needle reference on my list, it's on there because I hate it.
Oh, okay. Well,
you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
I suppose my defense of AC in this moment is she put a twist on it and the guy didn't catch it. Instead of yes anding, he no because'd it. And I want to slap him a few times is all. Okay?
I hear you.
Thank you. Okay, where were we? So while he's crossing these names off his list, they come across a guy who lives there. Now, what's weird about this guy is not only does he live in Pear Tree Apartments, but after the first murder, he moved within Pear Tree Apartments.
The neighbor said he'd moved apartments so he could live next door to his sister, who happened to live right by Wendy.
He was not scared, which is kind of a red flag. Like, this guy doesn't want to leave. He must either be the killer or know the killer and know that he's safe.
And that's what they're thinking. Now, his defense is, I mean, it is true that he does have a sister that he moved closer to. So that could be the truth. But Lenore's not buying it, and neither is AC. They want the deets. So they get his DNA, because this guy gives it up too. He says, take it, whatever you need. Results come back. Is this our guy?
No.
No, it's not. I mean, that's a bummer. Because, I mean, you hear on the surface a guy moves within the same place. It's looking good, but this is not him.
And it's not Christine's boyfriend either.
You're right. It clears not only this rando guy that we don't get a name of, but it clears Tang Ku, the chain-smoking boyfriend who did the polygraph. We're not done with him either. We should be. Tang Ku should not even be a name in the state line. I would have given him the same respect as this rando guy, to be honest.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Yep.
Because we're going to talk about him again. All right, so Lenore's working on it. It doesn't go cold because, as he tells you, he never stopped working on it, okay? In February of 99, Chima Benson, a college student nearby, I don't know the name of the school, I forgot it, so I'm not going to
University of Texas, Arlington.
Boom. She's a college student there. She is assaulted and reports it. And we meet Chima.
Chima transferred to University of Texas at Arlington.
Yeah.
And she joined a sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, which happens to be Kamala Harris's sorority.
Is that right?
It is.
I'll be.
She just joined it because her parents made her come home from another school because she was partying too much. Chima's upfront about that too. One of the reasons why I loved her.
Yeah, she said her grades were slipping.
And she's very cute about it.
Chima's adorable. So pretty.
Absolutely.
I mean, beautiful.
Speaking of, okay, so Kateline, how old do you think Chima is? Forget knowing that she was in college in the 90s. If you just saw her face, how old do you think she is?
She looks 25.
She's 48 right now. She's 48. She looks damn good. And they mentioned it on Talking Dateline that she was on a season of Big Brother and she was out in LA hustling like we were last week.
He wanted her to be a Bond girl.
And actually, part of the reason why it didn't work out was because of this trauma. So let's talk about this trauma. She's in her sorority house for the night.
This kind of confused me a little bit. She was alone.
Yeah.
There was no one else in the sorority house. She was the only one there.
Correct. She's on the phone talking to her girlfriends. And at some point in the conversation, she talks about Southern men and about how they're no good to date. And AC's like, okay, but only some of them.
Not all Southern guys, just
No, there was a
certain
particular type. Because I had a date with a Southern gentleman in a few days. So.
So just girl talk.
Yeah. It was just a playful conversation being like, well, Southern men do this. And I'm sure they were talking about men from different parts of the country. And this is one of the freakiest parts of this story.
Yeah.
She gets off the phone, turns out the light, and goes to bed. She hears what sounds like a rustling sound on the roof, like maybe a raccoon running across the roof or something. She was like, that's weird. And just a few minutes later, she gets this very eerie sensation that she said there's like evil in the room.
Yeah.
Just a strange presence. She didn't even know if it was a person or what.
I just felt darkness or like evil. I felt something not right.
But it woke her up, and as she's kind of coming to, she realizes, oh my God, there's a man in here. And he says, oh, what, you don't like Southern men? Which is also, yeah, obviously, dude, look what you're doing.
He said to me, so you don't like guys like me from the South? Like he was offended.
So he was listening to your phone conversation.
Yeah, it did kind of click for me there. Like, oh, wow.
The craziest takeaway from this is that means this dude was listening to her phone conversation hours before.
Yes.
Is he ever line tapped? Is he on the roof with a cone to the wall? Like, what's he doing?
Well,
that's spooky, right? This is what you're talking about, where it's like, what the f?
And we find out. We find out because she is brutally attacked and assaulted.
Yep.
But he lets her live.
He does, and it's crazy that he let her live because this is where we get to talk about dick bites again.
To fight him off, she was saying, you know, she's very tiny. She's scrappy.
Hell yeah.
And she was able to bite his dick.
Hard.
I think she drew a lot of blood.
Yep. But let's remember this dick bite.
The man reeled from the bite to his genitals.
And let's also point out that last week, Victor Paleologus got his dick bit through jeans, and he cried and ran away because he's a little baby boy, okay?
Bit him on his crotch.
I bit him on his crotch. Fell over, he's yelping and screaming and...
So anyway, back to our case.
She had thrown her landline at him to help fight him off.
Yep.
So she scrambles up and tries to find the phone to call for help, but she can't find it. She goes across the hall to her sorority sister's room to use her phone, naked and bloody.
Like she's covered in blood.
And a lot of it was probably his blood from that bite.
True.
I mean, he broke her face,
yeah,
and she was bleeding there, but blood everywhere. She picks up her roommate's phone. The line is dead. So right there we know he had been in the house listening to her phone conversation and then cut the line.
Oh my God, you're right. Holy f***.
Yeah.
Holy f***. It's like Black Christmas.
Yeah.
For Christ's sakes, Nash, you got it wrong. That's where the calls are going into.
That's where they're coming from too, sir.
Holy shit. So he was just in another room with his hand over the receiver, listening.
Yep.
Damn, dude, that is...
So she runs across the street to a fraternity house, and the boys there call the cops. And I'm sure, she says, like, I must have looked absolutely insane. Unrecognizable, swollen. They also get DNA from her. They get everything they need. And then we meet her friend. And if that wasn't chilling enough, the stuff that happens next is even crazier.
Now, this part confused me. I gotta be honest, and I did not wrap my head around it until about the 5th time that I listened to this episode.
I know, me too.
There are 2 people that we're going to talk about that had crazy situations happen to them. I got them convoluted, but they're 2 separate ones. And this first one is Tasha. Tasha had moved out of the sorority house a month prior to the attack.
And Chima moved in to her old room. So Tasha's thinking, was he coming for me?
Yes.
Did this happen to my friend because it was supposed to be me? Because she tells the cops she had an ex who was stalking her.
Yeah.
So she thought maybe this was that.
So she tells the campus police and later the Arlington police. She says, I think it's my ex. He was also at the sorority house hours before Chima was attacked. It sounded like him. He sucks. And she also mentions, as an afterthought, that she's friends of Wendy Prescott, the second murder victim. So that makes the report.
Yeah.
It's not until a cop reads the police report, sees that name Prescott, and tells our boy Tommy Lenore about it. Now, he kind of made it sound like he made that connection.
I find out that her and Wendy both knew him and met him back before her murder.
So Lenore's like, we should get your stalker's DNA.
Yes.
But he won't. He refuses.
Oh, yeah. He's not as willing to give it up as our previous 2 suspects. He says, hell no. And Lenore's reaction is, all right, well, I'm going to have to get the court order. And as soon as that ball started rolling, the guy came in and was like, you know what? You can have my info. I was just playing.
I'm just joshing.
Yeah, sure. What do you want? You want a swab? You want a hair? You want a pube? It's all yours.
Yeah, and it's not him.
Not him either, okay?
But it doesn't connect to him, but it does connect all 3 cases.
Yes.
The DNA found on Chima in her rape kit reveals that whoever attacked her did kill Wendy.
So Lenore decides to make a trip to Chima just to get her scoop face to face, because it's not like he was on the scene or anything. And this is where I love Chima, because we find out, she says, hey, you know what? One time I was talking to my friends in the mall, and wouldn't you know it, I was talking about how I don't want to date Southern men again. And a guy that was with us overheard us. You might want to talk to him. I don't know. Could it be that guy? Could it be him? So that means Chima twice was overheard talking about Southern men.
Wow.
I just love that she's out there gabbing at the mall, too. I would love to know what story inspired this. Like, was he like catcalling her or something? What do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never heard necessarily negative stereotypes about the Southern gentleman.
No, mostly what I hear is about how awesome they are because they say yes, ma'am, 1 billion times a day. What do you think? I'm not impressed.
I mean, I'm not impressed by any man.
Fair point. So Lenore says, this is where he says something else that bugs me, where he's like, and I told Chima, I said, if this concerns you, it concerns me. Like, he really builds it up. Like, hey, you got a problem? I'm the one that's here for you.
My savior.
It was her fear. And I said, well, if you've got a fear, then I'm going to address it. I'm going to listen to what you tell me.
The guy's doing a little rewriting after the fact, I think. Because he's coming off way too clean in this. Way too clean. So, Lenore tracks down this guy that overheard Chima saying an opinion about Southern men in the mall. Lenore finds him, so I got to give him credit for that. And we get the deets on this guy. He knew Tasha, obviously he knew Chima, and he moved into the Pear Tree Apartments 2 months before Christine was murdered. This is sounding pretty good, huh?
It is.
This sounds like we got our guy. And we're almost to the point in the episode of the Dateline where we feel like we're about to say, and it was a match.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened with this guy? They got his DNA. What'd the results say?
It's not a match. It's not our guy.
Nope.
The one thing that they did learn from Chima that Lenore hadn't been told before was that her attacker was a black male.
Yes, because this is the first surviving victim of our bathtub killer that Lenore's talked to.
Mm-hmm.
He was wearing a mask, but she was dead positive that he was an African American.
So Lenore is able to cross off half the people on his list. He said there were like 500 names from the apartments that he was able to whittle down to like 40.
Yeah.
He felt so confident that they were going to find him now that the pool had just gotten so much smaller.
Yeah. So we're talking to Lenore. It's at this point in the Dateline where they plant a little something about how, following a hunch, he reached out to the Grand Prairie Police. And was like...
Grand Prairie is near Arlington,
Grand Prairie.
so you're thinking...
Arlington, it's on the east side, which is not far from Pear Tree, and I went and met...
Not impressed, Lenore. Not impressed.
And I guess, this was still before the days where departments talked to each other and shared information in the database. I mean, it's not like killers stay within their zip code. This is bananas to me.
Okay, so this is February of 99. Lenore's positive it's a black guy. Pretty positive there's going to be a scar on his dick. October 99 rolls around. And this is the story that breaks my heart the most. Out of a story of tragic, unlucky circumstances, the story of Adrian Fields, age 22 at the time, is heartbreaking.
Yes.
Okay, would you like to kick us off?
So Adrian, she was terrified of being murdered or attacked because all of these attacks were happening nearby.
And even though she moved away, she couldn't shake the feeling she would be the bathtub killer's next victim.
She was so scared that for years, she slept with the lights on and music playing and would talk to her friends or her mom every night. She was just scared to go to bed because she thought this was going to happen to her.
Yeah.
And it did. It happened the one night where she was finally like, you know what? I can do this. I don't need the lights on. I don't need music playing. I am going to be a big girl and go to sleep on my own in the dark. And that exact night is the night he came for her.
When she's gearing up for bedtime, she's not only telling her this mantra of like, I'm going to be a big girl. She wrote this on a letter to herself and posted it on her fridge. There's a crime scene photo of her fridge and the note. And the way Dateline tells it, it was this night of. And what wakes her up that night?
The killer in her room.
Yeah. Her describing like his pant leg swishing as he jumped on the bed and attacked her is chilling.
I hear breathing and this sound.
Adrian is an all-star.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I don't know how she had the strength to do this, but she was talking to him the whole time because in her mind she was doing that thing where you normalize it, you make the attacker see you as a person, and he had already stopped killing his victims by this point, but she still felt like she was going to die and did everything she could to make him spare her, and even said, do I have a tomorrow? Is there a tomorrow for me? And he says,
yeah.
Yes. I do believe that it was the very first night that she decided to turn the lights off because she had this eerie feeling that she was being stalked all these years, and she trusted that instinct. And she was being stalked. She was 100% right. And he was waiting for her to turn that light out.
Now, this was the one where she heard the footsteps on the roof because she's on the 3rd floor. That's so freaky. And so we're thinking that she's making a connection. And he's like, why don't you tell me your name? And Adrian refuses. She won't do it. She's not going to give up her name. He says, come on, tell me. She won't. And that's when the rapist says to her, all right, well, how about we just call you Adrian?
Her instinct was right.
That's some scream
He had been stalking her. He knew her name.
He knew her f***ing name.
He knew where to find her. That was the point where AC was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was a great AC reaction. I mean, she's as floored as we are. And she's like holding her mouth and going like, oh.
So
he
my
knew
gosh.
my name.
Oh my gosh. Adrian, that is so scary.
So the assault happens, but he does leave. So she survives and tells the cop about her experience, including there's a scar in his dick that I noticed. Lenore says, that's music to my ears. Tell me more about this dick scar, please.
Or if they have some type of severe injury, some type of bite injury, I said, let me know.
All right, so then March the following year, they get DNA confirmation that all 4 attacks, the 2 murders and the 2 rapes, are all for the exact same guy. And so even though they know they have DNA and they know that it's the same at all 4 spots, they don't know whose DNA it is. Because now this is terrifying, this bathtub killer that we're calling him. I mean, he's been on the prowl now for years.
Yep.
In September of 2000, this is when the CSI guy with the mustache that was showing AC the prints, he hears about how the FBI like updated their algorithm. And he's talking about like search parameters and stuff.
The FBI upgraded the algorithms. They upgraded the search parameters.
So he gave it another shot and sent the print from Wendy's crime scene back to the FBI.
So he sends back the prints to see if they're in the new database. And sure enough, they are. And this is the moment where we get the name.
The chameleon was not a chameleon anymore.
Now, the 2 fingerprints that we had a thumb and a pointer. With those prints, we can't confirm they're from the same guy. But now that we check the database, there's a guy in there whose DNA profile matches our DNA profile. Not only that, he's got all 10 fingerprints in the system. This is our guy.
What was the name?
Dale Shenette.
Dale Shenette.
What are you thinking at this moment?
Dale, he lived in the complex, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, here's the crazy thing. This is another thing that Lenore loves to point out, that he knew that name so well because it was on his list. Now, he was 17th on the list, they said, and he said that they would have interviewed him eventually.
When is eventually? When do you get to 17?
Great question, Kateline. I mean, look, he doesn't have to hop in and tell us why he knows the name. He could say he's never heard of it before. I understand, like, that could happen too. But him trying to justify it, that he's still a super cop, and like, oh, I knew that name. I heard that name and I knew it.
Really?
I know that name because I know every name in these books.
I'm not impressed, bro. And I'm also not buying it.
If they had interviewed everyone on that list the year it happened, they could have stopped all these other attacks.
Yeah, and like, so his name was on a lease of his girlfriend who lived in the apartment complex. But then he got that girlfriend pregnant, they moved out, married, got divorced. So now we're looking for Dale Shenette of today. He's got a new lady under his thumb. He's now in a new relationship with a person we'll call Kay, which they do as a setup because her face is obscured. Tell us about Kay.
Yeah, she did not want to be on camera. She wanted to protect her privacy, which I know a thing or two about. Kateline, it's all about protecting that privacy.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, Kay, she said she found it really hard to believe that he would be able to commit these kind of crimes, although she did admit that he was physically abusive to her once.
Yeah.
She did kind of have to walk on eggshells around him because he had a temper, which it's like, okay, well, these are red flags. Like, he is absolutely capable of doing this kind of thing. And
also, once she did find out that he was recording her conversation with her family because he put a tape recorder in the couch. That also happened.
That is also a red flag. So,
yeah.
To say she didn't think he'd be capable of this, I don't know. I would think he would be. And the weirdest part about it is that he insisted that she not take showers, but only baths. And you could link this to his whole bathtub killing thing, like he's got some weird bath fetish. This immediately just reminded me of one of the scariest X-Files villains, Donnie Pfaster, who insists on drawing a bath for his victims first, so they're nice and clean before he kills them. Not showers, baths, because he doesn't want their hair to get messed up, and he tries to bathe Scully twice.
Whoa. Do you remember I gotta watch this app.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to check it out.
Now he's back.
The man abducted you.
To finish
He was just plain evil.
what he started.
You're the one that got away.
The X-Files, an all-new episode at 9/8 Central, Fox Sunday.
Okay, I can't wait to watch this. Okay, that's dope.
Who does your nails, girly girl? I'm gonna draw you a bath.
Gross. Has anybody ever told you they're going to draw you a bath other than Jillionaire? I feel like only moms are allowed to say that out loud.
Fun fact about Kateline, I refuse to take baths. I find them absolutely disgusting. I don't want to sit in water filled with my own filth.
Yep. So you subscribe to the Cosmo Kramer school of thinking.
I prefer to stand, let the dirt run off me, immediately go down the drain. Thank you. Now, I'm all about a soak. Soaking's different.
Okay. So you're against getting in the water dirty. But if you get in there clean, game on.
Yep. Put on a bathing suit, sit in a hot tub, all about it. Also, sitting in a soaking tub in a bathroom that's built for just soaking. All about it.
You know what? I'm with you. I've never, other than when I was a kid, I've never taken a bath to do the cleaning part once. Anytime I've ever been in a bath as an adult, it was some sort of romantic thing until we realized that we both didn't fit in the tub.
Yeah, and it's not sexy. It's not. You can't, it's awkward. It's slippery. You can't, how do you,
I mean, just one more proof positive that, sex and water don't mix.
Not if you are prone to UTIs.
September 2000, they confirm it's Dale Shenette. So they get the warrants cooking, they arrest the guy. They bring him in, he's not asking about why he's arrested, he probably knows. But he does tell him, hey, do you care about my life? Because if you want to find out everything you want to know and more, take the death penalty off the table. And he says this after hours of denying knowing any of these women, ever being in their place. This was a weird little moment.
Yeah. And Lenore's like, yeah, I can't do that, man. I'm a detective. I'm not, I don't work for the DA. I can't help you there. And also, what do you mean everything you want to know and more?
Yeah.
He's certain.
Yeah.
I mean, Lenore's like, that means there's more victims out there.
Yeah.
For sure.
But he lawyers up, and so Lenore has to walk out of there. But those warrants do give him permission to get his DNA, and inspect that body. And what do you know when he goes down to Shanette's pee-pee? What's on his dingling down there, Kateline?
A dick bite scar.
Oh! Busted! Oh, I love this. This was fucking satisfying, huh?
Yeah.
They didn't even say dick or genitals when they cemented it. So I'm here to make it very clear that the dick bite scar matched all the previous dick bite scars.
To his genitals.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And we wanted that to happen in Hibiscus because of the dick bite, but it didn't leave a scar. So that was like a, kind of like an anticlimactic dick bite story. But here we are. Did not mean for that to be like a climax dick pun thing. We're back at Kay.
Another thing that Kay revealed was that she had told Dale while they were dating that she was scared because all of these women were being attacked. And he was like, he had a gun. He was very protective. She felt safe because he wouldn't let anything happen to her. And she said, that's why I don't live on the first floor.
Yeah.
He goes, well, they can get in no matter what floor you're on. And he knows that because he did it.
Absolutely. It's at this point where I gotta cue up the theme song for BYB. B-roll. You busted. I'm here to call out Dateline because, Kateline, listen, if I'm wrong, I want you to tell me so. But did they really need the extreme close-up on her profile where only her mouth is visible in the entire frame? What do you think?
No, they could have blurred her out or put her in shadow like they do me.
Absolutely. Or they had 8 other B-roll shots they shot of her from behind with AC looking at her. They had everything covered. Why'd they have to show that lip one? Because nobody wants a camera that close to their face. Not even actors, let alone this normal person. And it's like the very tiny, tiny, tiny hairs below her lip are now backlit in close-up on NBC. I don't know. What do you think?
They did her dirty.
Did that jump out of you? I was worried about Kay.
They did her dirty.
Yeah.
Also, you could totally identify her.
Yeah. And she said she didn't want to be identified. I think it's because she visited this guy in prison after the arrest. Maybe that's why she doesn't want to be identified. What do you think about that?
Like she was sticking by him a little bit?
I don't want to say that because she's on the show and she admits it. But she says that she had a hard time accepting it. So there was a point there where she still believed him and was visiting him in jail. But anyway, her privacy, absolutely, I respect it, just like I respect Kateline's.
Thank you.
Trial starts in January 2003. Here's what's crazy about the trial is, in Texas, you can't try 2 murders at the same time. So they had to pick one or the other to try first. And the reason why they did not go with the Christine Vu murder is because of Tangku, that boyfriend. Because they knew if they brought that up, that the defense could jump on that for reasonable doubt. Of like, well, the boyfriend was there the minute she was killed, blah, 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 blah. So they don't try Christine Vu. We're only going to do Wendy Prescott. And also, this is when Lenore had gotten all the info about previous assaults. And he finds out, thanks to the DNA and the fingerprints and whatnot, that this guy's guilty of at least 3 other assaults in other areas, right? And one of which was in front of a child. Like, it's all disgusting stuff. But we're not allowed to talk about it for Wendy Prescott. But I don't think it's much of a trouble because the defense not only did not have an opening statement, they didn't call any witnesses.
They had nothing.
So did they have a closing statement?
They had nothing. They just sat there and took it.
Yeah. They tried to pick apart how the evidence was stored. That's reaching, bros.
But Lenore was like, yeah, we're by the book. We had a log of everything. There was nothing out of place.
Yeah. The jury's out for 2 hours. They come back with a guilty verdict. I mean, duh. But now is the good part where these sickos get to do their favorite thing, which is condemn him to death and prove it. But I'm here for a trial shoving in his face all the awful shit he did, because now we get to hear about everybody. That's kind of interesting, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
For death penalty case, you're allowed to bring up everything?
Yeah. I think you should be allowed to bring up everything always, but...
I don't know if I agree with that. But if they're kind of the same, I do. I'm not ready to draw a hard line
here. We talked about this last time. If it's prior acts that support the current act, then yes. If it's completely unrelated, or if it's Grand Theft Auto as opposed to assault, those are different.
Right.
But if it's a pattern of assault, they should all be allowed in.
Yeah. And wait, when we were talking about that, it was because I was pro cutting off dicks of pedos, and you were anti. And now, what did you see in the news recently?
Was it Louisiana that passed a law?
Yep.
Castrate men who have been convicted of child rape.
Yes, and it's if they agree to it. And now, post-recording, here's a little inside baseball. I reached out to Kate. I said, hey, If we give these pedos the option, would you approve this? Like, what if the pedo says, cut the dick off, I don't want it. Give me a bag. I don't ever want to think about kids again. And you agreed at that point.
Yes.
If he wanted the chopping, you supported it.
In Louisiana, I think it is just the balls, not the dick.
Okay, I was thinking about this. Why does Jillionaire want the dick? The balls are what makes it happy, right?
I think Jillionaire just wants all of it gone.
Okay. Okay, I guess that is a pretty aggressive stance. I suppose I'm only talking about balls. But if they're willing to get the dick cut off too, I say boom, do it. And now this is in January of 2003 is this trial. That happens pretty quick.
Dale Jeanette was sentenced to death.
Flash forward to July 2009. They killed this guy.
He's gone.
He's been done so for 15 years. Isn't it kind of wild? Like, usually these things roll forever. Like, this guy's been dead for a long time.
Yeah, why now? Why do this on Dateline now?
That's a great question. They didn't answer it on Talking Dateline, but when I was looking up some stuff, if you remember that the defense's position was, hey, I don't know if that evidence is stored right. Flash forward 6 years. Jeanette is given the opportunity for last words, and this is what he says. My only statement is that no cases ever tried have been error-free. Those are my words. No cases are error-free. Okay. So he took his defense's stance to his grave, literally. He was like, hey, sometimes people make mistakes. Okay, kill me.
Good riddance, Dale.
And I think that brings us to our lists. Kateline, what do you got?
Kate's unnamed list. I don't have much. Just the needle in the complex.
Totes.
It's like finding a needle in a complex.
Now, was Dale Jeanette in the military?
I don't think they said.
All right, but that's a solid needle mention, and I think it's important to highlight because it was a denied wordplay mome for AC, where she was just being funny.
Now, we had another episode where it was AC and some guy, some detective, who would just not let her have it. He just kept speaking the same thing back to her and changing like one little thing.
Yeah.
I don't think they would do that to KM.
Hell no, they wouldn't. Hell no. I mean, that is at the root of my issues with this guy.
Well, he looks like L. Ron Hubbard and he sounds like Dr. Phil. It's not a great combo.
On that nightmare, let's transition to Kirk's Kick-Ass List.
Kick-Ass List.
Nothing on my list, but we almost did. We were so friggin' close on Signs of a Struggle again because AC said when the CSI team showed up to the first murder, no indication of a struggle. That's pretty close, huh?
There was no indication of a struggle either.
I feel like I'd count that.
Nope. Can't count it. Cannot count it. I've let that slide in the past because I've been listening to our eps in preparation for the Lesties, which we'll talk about. But one time I said sound of a struggle. You said count it. I said boom. I'm retroactively anti-boom to that.
Okay.
Removing the boom from that. You got to say signs of a struggle. Okay?
Got it.
All right. So I had a goose egg, but now we get to talk about some fun stuff. It's the end of the app. This is our 50th episode. It is the end of season 1. Season 2 will start when the new season of Dateline starts. Last week of September or something. But before then, we're going to hit you with a best of episode. Go ahead and tell us the name of this best of and the general premise, because this is TM, a Kateline.
This is the Lestie Awards.
Woo! Huh?
We're going to be honoring all the winners from the past season in various categories, like worst children.
I'm sorry, what?
And
least likable non-killer.
I'm sorry, what?
Best Murph Dog Flub.
Look what we have here, huh?
Then it's, like somebody's going to get a Lestie for hosting the most ILH episodes. I don't know that answer yet. I haven't done the math. But there'll be Lesties for that stuff too. But it will be fun stuff like we're talking about. I can't wait. It has been an excellent season of ILH. And we will see you next time.
Stay tuned for the Lesties because it's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm Kurt Money.
I'm Kateline.
I'm Lester Holt. For all of us, I'm Lester Holt. Good night.
That's wordplay. Kateline, are you with me?